Why do elderly people so often feel lonely? An exploration of the silent epidemic quietly reshaping the lives of millions around the world. According to numerous studies conducted across different countries and cultures, the majority of elderly people around the world report feeling lonely, a persistent sense of being left behind, disconnected from the world that once felt so familiar. It is not merely the absence of other people, it is the aching awareness of a gap between the relationships one has and the relationships one deeply needs. So why does this happen? Why, after a lifetime of building connections, do so many older adults find themselves adrift? The causes are not simple. They are layered: social, physical, psychological, cultural, and economic, and they often reinforce one another in ways that make the problem hard to untangle. Understanding them is the first step toward addressing them. 1. Weakening family and community ties. Perhaps the most immediate cause of loneliness in old age is the gradual loosening of family bonds. Adult children move away for work, build their own households, and settle into routines that leave little room for regular visits. Even when affection remains strong, differences in personality, unresolved disagreements, and the quiet accumulation of misunderstandings can create emotional distance that neither side knows how to bridge. Both generations may love each other sincerely, yet pride, on both sides, prevents the first step. Grandchildren and great-grandchildren, the people elderly individuals often cherish most, grow up with packed schedules of school, activities, and social media, leaving very little overlap with an older person's world. The result is not hostility, but invisibility. The elderly person is present, yet somehow not fully seen. 2. Declining physical health and mobility. The body over time becomes a barrier. Chronic pain, weakened joints, poor eyesight, or heart conditions restrict what an older adult can do and where they can go. Many elderly people leave home only when absolutely necessary: a doctor's appointment, a pharmacy visit, and otherwise remain indoors for days at a time. Physical limitations don't just reduce activity, they reduce spontaneity. When you cannot simply decide to go for a walk, drop in on a neighbor, or join a community gathering, the world contracts around you. Social engagement requires effort, and declining health steadily increases the cost of that effort until, for some, it becomes prohibitive. Loneliness then compounds the health problems it was born from, creating a cycle that is difficult to break. 3. Being trapped by a past identity. Everyone, at some point, had a season of strength, a time when they were capable, productive, and in control of their own lives. Elderly people are no different. Many carry with them the self-image built during decades of working, providing, leading, and being needed. Even as circumstances change, that identity does not update automatically. Some older adults resist asking for help or admitting loneliness because doing so feels like surrendering the independence that defined them. They tell themselves they are fine, that they do not need people, that solitude is a choice, when in reality it has slowly become a condition. This psychological resistance to vulnerability is not weakness. It is the human instinct to protect a sense of self that took a lifetime to build. 4. Cultural norms that separate generations. In many societies, particularly in Western countries, it is the cultural norm for older adults to live independently, separate from their adult children. This expectation of independence is often internalized by the elderly themselves, who may feel they would be a burden if they moved in with family or asked for more frequent contact. While independence has genuine value when it becomes an ideology that discourages closeness, it can leave elderly people structurally isolated. Living alone in homes that were once full of noise and life, now sitting quietly in rooms where no one comes. Even in cultures that traditionally emphasize multi-generational households, rapid urbanization and changing family structures are eroding those older patterns. 5. Economic limitations. Social connection, it turns out, is not always free. Joining a community center, attending a class, traveling to visit family, or simply taking a taxi to a gathering all cost money. For elderly people who are no longer working, whether due to retirement, health, or the absence of a pension, finances can become a quiet but powerful barrier to participation. Unable to contribute financially to shared activities or unwilling to be seen as dependent, some older adults withdraw from social life, rather than face what feels like an unequal dynamic. Economic marginalization and social marginalization tend to travel together, and among the elderly, this pairing is especially common. 6. Loss and grief. By the time a person reaches old age, they have typically experienced significant loss. A spouse, close friends, siblings, or colleagues who form the social fabric of their adult lives. Each loss is not just an emotional wound, it is also the removal of a connection, a routine, a reason to leave the house. For some elderly people, the social world they once inhabited has largely disappeared, and rebuilding it from scratch in later life can feel overwhelming. Grief, when it is not properly acknowledged or supported, can quietly shade into withdrawal and isolation. What can be done? The most important antidote to elderly loneliness is also the simplest: genuine, consistent human connection. This does not require grand gestures or major life reorganization. It can begin with a phone call, not a perfunctory check-in, but a real conversation that asks questions and listens to the answers. It can be a shared meal, an afternoon spent together, or a grandchild taking the time to sit beside an older relative and simply talk. On a broader level, society has developed a range of structures to support elderly well-being: nursing homes and assisted living facilities that offer community and daily care, retirement villages designed to foster social activity and a sense of belonging, intergenerational programs that bring young people and elderly adults together through volunteering, mentoring, or shared projects. Technology too offers possibilities. Video calls bridge distances that were once insurmountable. Group chats allow elderly people to stay present in the lives of family members scattered across different cities. But technology is a supplement, not a substitute. What elderly people need most cannot be delivered through a screen. It is presence, warmth, and the small but irreplaceable sense that someone, somewhere, is thinking of them. Families can take practical steps: scheduling regular visits, inviting elderly relatives to stay for a period, including them in celebrations and everyday decisions, or simply making it clear that their company is not a burden, but a gift. Children and grandchildren who make that effort will often find that what they give is returned tenfold. In wisdom, in stories, in a kind of love that only deepens with time. Loneliness in old age is not inevitable. It is not a natural consequence of getting older. It is a consequence of how we, as families and communities, choose to organize our lives around those who came before us. Every elderly person who feels invisible once built the world that younger generations now inhabit. Recognizing that debt and repaying it through presence and attention may be one of the most important things any of us can do.